Welcome back to the Chicago Tomahawk. I'm Mike, and I got my line mate Matt with me. And today we're going to go over some Blackhawks news and some NHL news. Namely, I wanted to talk about a couple teams all-time teams that me and Matt made for the Blackhawks, and we're going to go over the roster for Marian Hossa's farewell game. It wasn't televised in the United States, but I think that it was filmed, and they're going to release it at another time, which kind of sucks, man. You know, I would think that maybe, you know, the NHL is like, hey, you know what? This is a pretty good idea. Why don't we broadcast this on ESPN Plus? Getting like all these old legends together, and letting them play. I mean, if they televised the All-Star game, I don't know why they wouldn't televise something like that. What do you think?
Yeah, this is pretty much an All-Star Hall of Fame type of game. It's even better, you know? Yeah, I saw a lot of highlights, man. There's some faces that you haven't seen in a while, some former Blackhawks. But yeah, man, Peter Bondra setting up Taves with that Zegras-like goal.
Yeah.
Oof, beautiful, man. I remember 2006, Peter Bondra scoring his 500th against the Maple Leafs. I was in attendance. That was awesome. He was such a good player, man. Yeah,
he was, man. Up until right when he retired, he was so fast. You remember that?
God, he's great shot. They called it the bonsai bomb, man. He just I just remember the games before we were just hoping he would get that 500th, and then, you know, the Maple Leafs come in town, good crowd. Yeah, I think it was full, actually a full attendance type of game, mostly Maple Leafs fans, but it was awesome to see, man. And he looked good. He still looked good with Hossa's game. You know, and he's up there in age. He still looked the same. Had that crazy looking visor on, you know, like he had the little, like, it almost looks like a riot cop visor, like you can lift it up if you wanted to, type of thing. But yeah, he still looks solid too.
Really cool. I wanted to go over that roster really quick. They had in the game, they had Nicholas Lidstrom, Zdeno Chara, Peter Bondra, Dustin Byfuglien, Nicholas Dramelson, Martin Havlat, Marcel Hossa, Patrick Sharp, Thomas Kopecky, Daniel Alfredson, Michael Handzus, Jonathan Taves, Miroslav Satan, Richard Lintner, Peter Mrazek, Mikhail Roosevelt, Andrei Sekera, Ludimir Wisnowski, Henrik Zetterberg, Duncan Keith, Yaroslav Halak, Scott Darling, Ziggy Palffy, Johnny Oduya, Radislav Pavlikovsky, Yuri Hudler, Michael Kepney, Thomas Holmstrom, Thomas Tatar, Trevo Teravainen, Marcus Kruger, Andreas Liha, Branko Radvijevic, and Hossa himself. So really,
Marian Gaborik was a coach.
Right.
I don't know if you saw that one. Yeah.
Really interesting, man. You know, like he was able to get these guys together to come and lace up the skates one last time. You know, that's like I can't believe some of these names that I read, man, getting everybody back together. And so it's getting Byfuglien to lace up the skates again.
Oh, man, too bad he wasn't throwing the body around. Oh, my
No,
goodness.
I'm sure he wasn't.
He got big.
Oh, really?
Boy. Yeah, he kind of blew up a little bit. It's a shame. He was, man, I really enjoyed watching him when he went to Winnipeg. That guy had some highlight reel hits, man. And
just manhandle people,
him, and he would just stiff arm them, like on their way to like go attack him. He would just stick out his arm and just handle himself against like 4 guys. And I wish it could have worked out with him after that. The first cup we won, man. I couldn't imagine. I'd move him back on D. You know? You got Byfuglien and, you know, Hammer, Siebes, and Keith. Man, the top 4 would be amazing.
We're gonna get into it, but I think Hammer, his perfect line mate was Johnny Oduya.
Yeah, but, you know what? I like Brian Campbell with him too. I don't want to.
Yeah,
you got to give him some props because that 2010 year, I think majority of the season he played with Hammer.
Yeah,
and those guys complimented each other very well.
They did. So let's get into that. Me and Matt came up with our all-time first line of Blackhawks. And Matt, do you want me to go first on this one?
Go ahead. Yep.
Go ahead. So my line is I've got Bobby Hull at left wing, Taser at center, Kaner at right wing, Oduya and Hammer on defense, Antonio as the playing goalie. Matt, what's your team?
Mr. Shutout himself. So I got Hoss, I got Tony Amani on the wings, and I got Makita in the middle. I just think it would be so cool to, see Tony Amani dishing Hossa a pass and Hossa or whatever, even vice versa, Amani getting a pass, up the ice and just turning the jets on and blowing by everybody. I got Keith and Hammer on D, and I got Eddie the Eagle in net.
Really interesting, man. So the reason that I chose my team is that obviously Bobby Hull will be the shooter, but having Kaner set up Bobby Hull in like this fantasy game, I think would be incredible. Not only for Kane's passing ability, but Bobby Hull's speed as well. And then you've got Taves out there, winning faceoffs, which is huge for that possession game. And you've got Hammer, which is one of my favorite defensemen of all time, and how he paired so well with Johnny Oduya. Yeah, I agree 100%. He did pair very well with Soupy, but we got 2 cups with him and Oduya, and I just think that they were just 2 partners that just played excellent together, kind of like Siebes and Keith. But the thing is that like Keith he's one of those guys where he has to play with Siebes, and if he doesn't play with Siebes, he's not the same type of player. Yeah, you can't say that. Yeah, exactly. And you can't say the same thing about Hammer. Is that wherever he plays or whoever he plays with, he's solid. And not knocking Keith at all, because he's a top 100 guy, one of the best defensemen ever. But if he's not playing with Seabrook, it's not the same. You're not getting the same thing. Antonio, it's self-explanatory there, man. He's one of the best of all time.
His rookie season, yeah.
Right.
I picked Eddie because he's just my guy. I wanted to be a goalie because of him, and he won the Vezina too, and he won the Jennings Trophy 4 times, which I think is the least goals in the season or average, I think. And Eddie Belfour's hero was Tony Esposito, so you can't go wrong with your pick at all on that.
Yeah. What about your why did you pick your defensive pairing?
So obviously, I think 2010 Duncan Keith was probably the best defenseman I've ever seen in my life. I thought he was very complete. He was just as solid in his own end as he was in the offensive end. I think after, the third cup, he started pinching a little too much, getting caught, it happens. They want you to do something, you got to play like that. But I think that having Hammer as a partner, like you said, you can get away with doing that stuff. Hammer's super responsible. Every time you see him skate the puck up, you see him skate past the red line, play it safe, dump it in. That's what he would do. Every single time. He would never skate it up, skate through guys. He just didn't have the ability to do it. But the dude had over 1,100 block shots in his Blackhawk career. That's just insane. And he's not a big dude at all. He's like a solid muscle, skinny, thin kind of guy. And to be able to, take that beating every night like that takes massive balls. And that guy had massive balls to do that. You know how many goals he probably prevented by doing that too? They're never going to have an accurate stat on that, but God, he's like a goalie's best friend. So, and that's why I got him on my pair.
Wow. Yeah, this stuff is so much fun, getting like the, the what ifs or what have you. It's so much fun.
Tony Amani on the wing. I grew up, going to the United Center and watching him play. I probably saw every Hawks game he's played in. And, I watched him, come here after that trade and work his way up to be a captain. That's how good he was. He was putting 40 goals in every night. And he was barely hurt. He had an Iron Man streak going, and
I think 800 games, didn't he?
That's huge, dude. Steve Larmer did that. I think he played 900 something games in a row. Tony Monty played that too. The guy was just didn't get hurt, and he played hard every night, like full speed. The guy had wheels. They used to call him wheels in the 300 section, and he knew when to turn the jets on, and he was just a super exciting player to watch. Fan favorite. Never really, he didn't have that showboating like JR, where he would kind of work the crowds and stuff, and Showtime kind of like Kaner. He was kind of just do my job and put up good numbers, be a good teammate, and that's why I really like him. And I just think having a guy like Hossa on the wing on the other side would just be something to see too, because Hossa could put in 40 goals too. But his two-way game was super underrated, and a lot of Chicago fans didn't know that until he got here. And I think Pat Foley said that too, the best. Like, he's like, "Wow, we didn't understand what we were getting, with that type of play." And obviously Mikita, one of the best. I still think he is Mr. Blackhawk. I don't think anyone's going to score more points than him. It's just a shame he only got one Stanley Cup. But I think he's the ultimate leader. He can play any type of hockey you want. He can skill it up. He'll fight you. He's kind of like a Selke like Bergeron, maybe, I guess you could say. But I just think he's obviously a lot tougher. Those guys were just tougher back then, and I think he would complement those guys at center really well. And that's why I picked these guys.
Before I go any further, I got to let everybody know that college football fans, are you ready for week one? DraftKings at Casino Queen Sportsbook is hooking you up with a can't-miss offer to start the season strong. This week, new customers can bet just $5 on college football and score $200 in bonus bets instantly. Anything can happen in college football. Your team could go from unranked to dynasty mode in just a couple of years. Change comes fast. The only thing that's a lock is the great offers from DraftKings at Casino Queen Sportsbook. Now, life's more fun when you're in on the action. Download DraftKings at Casino Queen Sportsbook app now and use code ShyTomahawk. New customers can score $200 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on college football. Only at DraftKings at Casino Queen Sportsbook with code ShyTomahawk. The crown is yours. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, crisis counseling and referral services can be assessed by calling 1-800-GAMBLER, 1-800-426-2537. 21 or older, Illinois only. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/football terms. Now, Matt, Amani, listen to this. 94-95, I think that's the lockout year. 48 games, so that's every game. Next year, 81 games. Next year, 81 games. Next year, 82, 82, 82, 82. 82. 2002, 2003, he played. Let's see. Hold on a second here. So that's
he was traded
72.
Too.
Yeah. Phoenix and Philly. So that's 72 games. Philadelphia, 80, 80, 81. Dude, this guy is incredible. His first season, 79 games. Second season, 83. 93, 94, 72. And then the 93-94 season, he played in looks like 55 games. And then 81,
stud.
81, 82,
stud.
82.
He was an
82,
absolute
82.
stud for the Blackhawks. One of the best trades in history of the team, in my opinion.
Yeah.
We traded Brian Noonan and
Stephane
Matteau, and they got their Stanley Cup, and we got a top prospect out of it. And I think the Hawks, great move for the Hawks. We didn't, obviously we didn't win a cup, which would have been nice, but we got a franchise guy because we had him and Roenick. Can you imagine if they played longer together? I think it would have happened, but the drama came with Roenick and his deal, and kind of dominoes fell. And then we lose Chelly, we lose Belfour, and it's kind of a rebuild on the fly. And Tony stuck around with the team for a long time after that, and he was just good teammate, man.
He was. Do you think that Nicholas Jarmelson is one of the best defensemen in Blackhawks history?
Absolutely, 100%, yes.
Do you think he's the best defenseman in Blackhawks history?
So this is tough because the position is so different now. There's so many styles to it, Obviously, he's the best defensive defenseman, yes. All around defenseman, I would have to say if you want a guy who's putting up points, you got to rank, Keith up there, probably the best. Even Dougie Wilson, offensive minded guy, he put in a lot of points with the Blackhawks. Chelly obviously won all those Norris trophies, and I don't like the guy, but he's a very good hockey player. Siebes, you got to put him up there. 3 Stanley Cups, ultimate leader, But Hammer, yeah, man, you got to put him in that category because without Hammer, you're not winning cups. No doubt about it.
Absolutely not.
And I always tell people, I'll take 6 Hammers over 1 Carlson in my lineup all day, all freaking day. Guys who play the position the right way, sacrifice their bodies, blocking a shot, doing the little things. That's just stuff you're not going to see Erik Karlsson do. And he's going to get all the glory because he's getting assists, So that's just, I'm an old soul. I believe in a defenseman that should take care of his own zone first.
Yeah, I agree, man. I agree. I've always been a big Hammer fan. I think that he's an unsung hero. I think that he should have his number retired. I have a hard time watching Seth Jones wear his number. Not because I dislike Seth Jones, but I just have a lot of respect for Hammer, man. And I think that it should be in the rafters one day. Do you think that they should retire his number?
The guys who won 3 cups, yes. And I do believe that Corey Crawford should also get his number retired. And people say that's too many people with their numbers retired. Well, guys, there's a lot of numbers you could pick from 1 to 99. Or, sorry, 1 to 98. That's a lot of numbers. So you can pick something else. Any guy that wins 3 cups with the same core absolutely deserves it. Crawford won 2. Yeah. And I'm not a Corey Crawford fan. But as a goalie, his style, I didn't like it. I thought he was beat high glove a lot. He kind of played the butterfly. He would play lower. I didn't like that style, but he was a monster against the Bruins in 2013. He was the best goalie in the league. Jonathan Quick even said this guy doesn't get enough respect. And when that guy says that, he's like a Vezina guy. You got to listen to the guy. And I never been a huge Crawford fan, but he definitely deserves to get his number retired.
Fucking man.
The guys that won 2, it's crazy. You can't. I guess you got to cut it off somewhere. But you know, obviously Kane and Taves will be up there. Siebes and Keith. You got to put Hammer and Sharpie up there too. You have to.
Yeah, you do. You're retiring. Number 10, number 2. I mean, they're very common numbers, but at the same time, man, these guys won 3 Stanley Cups. Yeah. Together. If
Connor Bedard wins 3 Stanley Cups, you can retire 98, absolutely. If Kevin Korchinski's on the team, retire number 55. Eric Daze will not give a shit. I'm surprised you didn't put Daze in your fantasy team, dude.
You know what? When we go down to like lines, we should do like line. 4 lines. No, let's do
next week.
Let's maybe week by week we'll do like, and we'll top it off with our 4th line or something like that.
Yeah, we'll do a second line.
4 lines.
Next week we'll do the second line, and we'll all the way to the end of the season. And then the last day, I guess we'll pick our backup goalie too.
Okay.
You can have Jeff Hackett.
All right, on to some NHL. I was actually going to pick Hackett for my for my 3rd line.
I got Ray Emery all day, baby.
He was
Ray
good,
Emery
dude.
all day.
Dude, Hackett was good, man. He had the impossible job of being the starting goalie after Eddie Belfour left.
That's very hard. You know what I remember about Hackett? His gorgeous freaking helmet. That thing with the feathers. Yeah. Oh my god! That was a beauty of a helmet, man. I mean, if the poor guy had to follow Eddie Belfour's helmet too. No one is going to top Eddie the Eagle's helmet. And he had those awesome feathers on the top. Hackett's was pretty damn sick too.
I loved it. All right, so on to NHL news. Auston Matthews and the Leafs agreed to a 4-year extension, $53 million, 13.25 a year. He's now the highest paid player in the league. Now, let's dissect this a little bit. He gets that money. Obviously, in 4 years, this is going to be 2 years after the I think it's 2 or 3 years after the cap goes up significantly. So he's going to be getting a big payday dependent on his performance over this contract. Now, we're looking at a team that's already cash strapped. They're paying more money to Auston Matthews. So if he's getting 13.25, look for Marner to get 12.5, right? And now where does that leave room for Nylander?
Well, Nylander came out today and said he doesn't want to play for any other team. So he can say that all he wants, but the numbers don't work. Something's got to change. Somebody's got to go, and I don't know who goes, dude.
Yeah. And is Nylander as impactful on another team? Because I think that he's a good, how do you say?
Peace?
He's a good piece, a good supporting character. I don't think that he's the main guy.
Yeah, you know what? I've seen a lot of Blackhawks fans on Twitter say, hey, we should hold out for him as a UFA and maybe put him with Bedard. The guy's a playoff guy, but I don't know how I feel about it. I do think he's one of the Leafs' best playoff guys. He's not going to score 60 like Matthews, but in the playoffs, he's one of the only guys to show up. So you got to look at that too.
He's like a sieve though when he's out there though, because his defense is so bad.
They say he's nothing like his brother who, he'll skate to the boards and then see a body coming and he'll just, I'm going to veer off so I don't get hit. He's nothing like that. He's a finisher. He's a smart player, but I think he's going to be the odd man out, man. Unless you can move that Tavares contract, I think that's what I would do. Yeah, cool. You got a couple of years out of him, but $13 million a year, you're not doing nowhere near what Auston Matthews is doing for the same price. So I think if they can move Tavares, they'll be in good shape, and then they can keep Willie Nylander.
I've been thinking about it a lot, man, because just from the outside looking in, because I'm not a Maple Leafs fan, but they have a very unique thing going on there, because with the talent that they have, they should be winning.
Should have won cups. At least 2 by now with that core.
But the thing is that they're not. And they have all of this talent, and all of this talent doesn't get it done. Now, if you are the GM there, and you're like, hey, I'm going to move Nylander, or I'm going to move Marner. The fan base would go nuts, and he brings in, say, 3 quality guys, right? And they win a cup. Wouldn't that be worth it?
It's tough to swallow, but yes,
it would.
You're the Cubs of hockey right now. You have the longest drought. Yes, the Cubs, their curse is over.
We can't even say that anymore.
The Cubs won.
We can't even say that anymore because they won.
We're the Cleveland Indians then, because I think they have the longest drought. But yeah, here's a scenario that I've always thought of. If you're going to get rid of Willie Nylander, who would I trade for? I would be calling the Winnipeg Jets right now, and I'd say, hey, we will give you Willie Nylander for Connor Hellebuck, and we will give you some other prospects. We need a goaltender that can get us over the hump. We've had bad luck with backups coming in as starters because we're too top heavy with money up top. We can't afford a quality goalie. I think we'll give you Willie Nylander, a draft pick, maybe a prospect. You give us Connor Hellebuck and a little bit of cap relief. That team's winning the cup. You get a Vezina-like guy like that, net, who can help you when Auston Matthews is having trouble scoring, finding his game in the playoffs. He can steal you some games. That's what I think the Leafs should do, but it's a lot easier said than done when you're sitting behind a screen like us and talking on it behind a microphone. But That's something that I would try to do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like something needs to be done, and something significant needs to be done, because what if they get to the playoffs this year and they go out in the first round, man?
Yep.
And they just gave Auston Matthews 13.25.
Well, I don't think he's getting that yet, but he's pretty close.
No. I'm just saying that, like, okay,
nothing.
we're heading into the season where he's going to be getting that money, and it's like, hey, man, like, okay, I scored another 60 during the season, and he goes silent during the playoffs.
He is absolutely worth that contract in the season, but like we talked about before, in the playoffs he has done nothing. You've got guys like Nylander doing more, and he's making what? Double less, right? I think he's making like $6 million, something like that. I mean, it's
right.
The poor guy, he's doing the hard work, and you need more out of your better players. That's what it comes down to. But it's just, I think what was the GM's name before? Dubas. I credit him. He if anything, I thought the Leafs, that was their year to win. That guy did everything he could.
I did too.
To get that team over the hump. And they did. They beat Tampa, finally. Tampa's tired, and they won 2 in a row. They were, in playoff battles for a long time. They took advantage of Tampa playing a lot of hockey over the years, and they won. But after that, that was it. I think they played the Panthers, right? They just got clobbered.
I believe so,
and,
yeah.
I mean, it's like they treated that as a Stanley Cup win. It only gets harder every series. You got to look at the Panthers like they're, harder than the freaking Tampa Bay Lightning. So, like I said, if it were me, I would start between the pipes, because that is a big problem to me. And getting a guy like Connor Hellebuck, who has said, I think publicly, like he's ready to move on from this team. He's not interested in an extension with the Jets, and who would be? I mean, it's a very, boring team. I mean, it's not exciting, and the guy's a stud. I mean, without him, that Jets team is worse than the freaking Arizona Coyotes. So, if I'm the Leafs, that's what I'm doing. And if you're not going to keep Willie Nylander, I think the time is now to move him, because say he's not having a good season, what are you going to get for him? His stock is high, and I would probably try to move him at like even training camp. If it's not going to happen, you got to move him.
All right, man. How many do you think Matthews is going to net this year? I think after that
contract, I think he's going to get close to 60 again. I'm saying 53. He was solid last year.
I'm going to go with 57.
Yeah, I think that's right on, man. I think that can be right on. He's a motivated kid. Say what you want about his playoff performance. The guy shows up, man.
Yeah, he does. I'm assuming that he's fully healthy now, because I know he had that wrist injury last year, didn't he?
Yeah, he played 74 games last year. He still put in 40, 85 points. His worst season was 63 points in 62 games played. That was his worst season. So he's never been below 34 goals, which is crazy. The guy's a future 500 goal scorer, no doubt about it. He's 1 goal away from 300.
Oh, yeah.
And
he's probably a 600 goal scorer minimum.
He's just a natural sniper, and he's the highest paid player now. He's got to go out and get that cup, because that's all that matters now, And he's only been a minus player once. He was a -9 his third year in, I think in 2019. Other than that, he was +19 the year after, +21, +20, and then last year he was a +31. So the guy's been responsible in his own end. I give him a lot of credit for that. And he doesn't take many penalties.
Sure. Yeah, I do too.
He's 20 minutes last year. 20 has been his highest. Last year was his highest penalty minutes. So the guy, he's not like a Matthew Tkachuk where he's going to get a lot of penalty minutes and still put up great numbers. This guy, he's out there, he's putting points up and not spending too much time in that box.
Well, all right, everybody. That's all that we got for you tonight. Do us a favor. Hit us up on Twitter. Let us know. Vote on our... the vote will be over with by the time this comes out. Maybe we should do another one.
Well, hey, we got next week.
Well, we'll figure it out. Anyways, look out for a poll for us. We'll put on another poll. And thank you for listening. Check us out on Twitter. Let us know what you think. And we'll see you on the next one. This is the Tomahawk. We're out of here.